Yep, looks like they're off.
The racers are on their way, hopping out of bed. Lunchtime choosing the ball and chain guard sprite, and Stinger going with Vanilla Link.
Yeah, ball and chain guard is a new one. I haven't actually seen him in action yet. So long as he doesn't have a case of identity crisis when he reaches the princess at the bottom floor, we should be fine. Yep, another Burna escape.
The Uncle is sparking today. So right away, we're going to get to see how well our runners are prepared for the Burna escape sequence. Just 5 rupees in the first chest.
This is going to be a fairly lengthy start, just because Burna's a little hard to use, especially with how much magic it takes up. Every time you activate the cane, it takes an 1/8 of your magic bar away. So it's like, you are really limited on your uses if you don't find magic drops.
Yeah, Burna is tricky in that sense. You really have to budget your magic.
And both runners are also hoping to find bombs, and this is not a very good weapon to farm bombs with.
But both runners taking out the first key guard with relative ease, in perfect synchronicity, finding the first heart container of the game in the first chest of escape.
Okay, now they're practically synced. Down to basic movements. Yeah, it's a scary amount of sync going on. But this is the last major enemy they have to kill. There's just a rat after this they need the magic for.
Yeah, in the basement there are a couple pots. That makes the ball and chain guard rather trivial, and they don't have to worry about using the cane for that one.
Yeah, I imagine he would take like 4 or 5 or more hits with the cane, just because I believe it's fighter sword damage, which is relatively weak.
Each spark hit does do fighter sword damage, and that would take 8 shots to kill the ball and chain guard, which is a little more than they have magic for.
Both runners getting a lucky bomb drop, I believe, off that guard, and a moon pearl from the chest in Zelda's cell.
So we have the first leg of the Dark World access all tucked away, and now they're just going to be looking for that glove upgrade and either the hammer or a second glove.
Indeed, and right now I believe they have yet to find the map in Escape, so that's still elusive somewhere. If it ends up being the chest in Sanctuary and they count their items right, they'll be able to skip that chest.
And that one has a tendency to scare some people, because you watch a runner walk right by the Sanctuary chest not realizing, hey, they know it's the map. And they can go, hey, they missed that chest.
Yeah, it is a little weird that Sanctuary is considered part of the Escape, but it is where it lets you out, so it does make sense. They still have about 5 more chests to open, since they can actually access the back portion that's behind the bomb wall. And as they enter the back here, since they don't have the lamp, in standard only, for escape only, you will get a cone of light if you don't have the lamp.
Now, there are a couple of small magic pickups that the runners can pick up as they go through escape. There was a heart under that first top that both runners just passed, both thinking that they're going to be fine, they have the extra heart. But we are going to see if the runners elect to pick up the small pot refills.
I don't think they need to now. That sword makes refills unneeded. And yeah, I should clarify, it's just for escape, this light cone. As soon as you leave escape, if you try to go into a dark room, it will be dark. You will need a lamp.
And here, since those runners picked up the bomb, we're going to get to see them combine the sewer escape side room along with the escape sequence, so they will not have to come back for this. Not a lot going on in the side room today, but they did find the map, so they will be opening the chest in the sanctuary, and another heart container. That puts them up to 5 and sets them well on their way to a healthy seed.
That it does. And no maps, so let's see if either runner remembers to not open that chest.
So actually the map was in the side room, so I think we are going to get to see this chest.
Oh, it was. Never mind. I didn't see that it was that. I thought it was like another harder item or something. My mistake. Not like the item that was in the actual sanctuary chest was all that useful anyways. So no map check yet for either runner. Usually at the start of the seed you'll see at least someone open up the map. And it looks like Lunchtime is going to opt to skip the Lumberjack cave check.
You know, it does take an extra 15 seconds or so, if you're confident that you can route in a check for what is on that lumberjack ledge shortly after you get boots, then whenever that's not required, you know, that can be a nice time save.
Yeah, but he also does not know that the bush crab had 20s on him, so Stinger has a little more money that Lunchtime does not have.
Yeah, Stinger
Also,
is prepared for that bottle vendor.
and I believe that was 20 rupees on the lumberjack ledge, so we will not need Aga for that.
That's right, approximately 1 in 4 seeds in version 29 do have Aga required, but one of the reasons that you would need Aga, right out the window right there.
Yeah. So Lunchtime got another lucky bomb drop, doesn't have to go buy bombs yet. Well, and I imagine they will be doing so if they don't find any in the chest down here. There's the lamp. Oh, brother. I mean, we said Aga was going to be required for the item, but he might be required for another reason.
Yeah, a lamp and a cape, that is just a recipe for going straight up to Castle Tower, not to mention the sword that they've already picked up, so they have everything they need to go take on Aga.
Yeah, which is definitely not what they want to see, because the fact they just got lamp and cape back-to-back is always concerning. Ball vendor took a little bit of money there.
The ever popular Big 20 with a 100 rupee price tag on it. Back of Tavern having another heart container, so that puts Lunchtime up to 6.
It looks like Stinger's holding out on buying bombs, hoping he'll find some. Lunchtime, meanwhile, can actually go buy some. And it looks like Stinger's not going to get rewarded for his tenacity and patience trying to not get the bombs, which is going to make his Kakariko a little less efficient. Well, there's blue mail.
Being able to go with those 6 hearts means that if the runners do choose to do Aga early and get into that dark world, they're going to be prepared for those enemies.
Yeah, they'd like a little bit of a better sword, hopefully, but they do have the equipment they need to at least survive Dark World a little easier. Alright, so what was in here that Stinger could not get? Just 10 arrows. So I believe this is the last of the stuff Lunchtime has to check in the village. He'll be moving on after this.
They're
Chat
going to
also-
round out the village with the tavern.
There was a map check. We have Pendant Hera, Green Pendant Desert, and a non-5/6 crystal at Eastern. And Chaz also mentioning that people are actually saying it might be the Cane of Samaria over at Lumberjack. But I thought I saw the shine of a rupee at the bottom, so I'm not sure anymore. I guess we'll know before long. That's the mirror over at Race Game. We definitely want that.
Funny thing about the mirror in the race game is that if you go to the digging game and mirror back into the light world, the game actually does have a scripted line to tell you, hey, you've cheated. You have to go do the race game.
Yeah, you can't just mirror to the end here. He doesn't let you. Oh, with those checks taken care of, I imagine both ours are going to head towards the South Shore to check those items. This is typically where most route goes. It's you go to Kakariko, and then from here you go down to the south because there's a lot of items to check. And with the mirror, they can actually despawn the blocks in the dam, which also helps quite a bit.
Saves 5 to 10 seconds there. Now, the big question is, for a lot of runners, will they do the Ice Rod Cave? It's a whole extra, I want to say 30 seconds or so to get themselves out to that Ice Rod Cave, but it is a potentially critical item.
I'm going to say, since they do have the ability to do fake flippers up through like Waterfall Cave, they may want to see if they actually get enough money down here in the Moldorm Cave first, and then they'll probably make the decision.
As an excellent point, the Moon Pearl gives them the ability to fake flipper, take the warp, and then use the Waterfall Cave to get into a state where they can walk on water and check what's in the Waterfall Cave at the same time.
Yeah, it's a minor glitch that is allowed. But we need to see a little more money than what we have currently. And because of crab farming, Lunchtime has a lot more money than Stinger does.
It looks like all that the runners are going to pull out of the mini Mothorm Cave is a bottle that's going to open up Sick Kid and maybe make their lives a little easier with the potions down the line, but not a lot else.
It does also bring up the frustration of, why couldn't you have given me that while I was at the village? They will have to go back to check Sick Kid at some point. At least with Blue Mail, as much health as they have, the crabs aren't as nearly as much of a threat either. These crabs on Green Mail take 2 hearts from you.
Yeah, 2 hearts at this stage of the game is absolutely brutal. Plus the crab running into Lunchtime and knocking down a bomb. It's going to have to retry that throw attempt.
Alright, looks like Stinger is going to go do fake flipper. Lunchtime opting not to. Well, this will be interesting to see if Stinger gets a little bit of different information that actually helps him out. Lunchtime saying, I'm just going to book it over to Eastern.
Yes, this is the first major route divergence of the run, where it looks like Lunchtime is going to be checking what's on Lake Hylia Island, and then going up to Sahasrahla's closet, and possibly check out Eastern.
Yeah, that would be a smart check. Some runners do take that jump really quick just because it puts it on screen. saves you from having to fake flipper over to that location, or even just normal flipper over to that location.
Lunchtime approaching Sahasrahla. Meanwhile, Stinger is just about to hit the hobo. The hobo has for us today just 20 rupees. And not much else from Sahasrahla. Big 20 rupees times 3.
Yep. Neither location gave him much. But Lunch is going to go dip further into Easter, and he's hoping to be able to dodge having to go fight Agahnim as long as he possibly can. And the dungeon, he can't clear it, but it's for I think it's Crystal 7. It's not one of the important ones. He will have to come back at some point, though. Eastern, typically the one dungeon in the game you expect to dip twice if you need items early.
Yeah, there are 3 items available in Eastern. Oh, and the red cane and 300 rupees on the waterfall ferry.
Well, that means if Lunchtime did fake flipper, he actually could go over to Zora and pay him. And that also confirms that was a rupee in Lumberjack Cave, not the cane. So no, Aga definitely not required for the item. And 100 rupees on the ledge. That's a little frustrating for Stinger, who's like less than 100 rupees from being able to pay him off.
Now, with very little progression outside of the Agahnim starter kit that we have seen the runners collect, it looks like the runners are just going to have to be doing Agahnim sooner than later.
Yeah, at this point, the only locations Lunchtime has left to check are Sick Kid, the remaining chests in this dungeon, and Agina's Cave. Good Stalfos despawn by Lunchtime there. And gets the big key right before the big chest.
Now, it could weigh on Lunchtime's mind that since they have picked up the the big chest of Eastern has given the runners boots, or rather, just Lunchtime at this point. So Lunchtime is going to have the boots when he chooses to do Agahnim. That also opens the Bonk Rocks to the west of Sanctuary. But other than that, it's probably not going to assist with the Dark Access. So he's probably going to have to still do Agahnim. Meanwhile, Stinger is well on his way up the castle tower to face Agahnim.
I guess the important thing to note, though, is that Lunchtime is going to probably have these for a good deal longer than Stinger. Stinger may take a good while to come down and actually check Eastern.
It is a crystal, so we can count on Stinger having those boots by the end of the seed, but it may take something like a bow to draw Stinger back, and that could lead to a very significant advantage for Lunchtime.
Yeah, and I think Lunchtime also just found every item that was left in the dungeon, so he's going to take care of Bonk Rocks and Sick Kid. Whether or not he does Agina after that will depend on what he finds. Like, if he finds Hammer or Glove in one of these 2 locations, he will take the 50-50 gamble on Agina. And we also know that because Samara was in Waterfall Cave, we do need flippers eventually by the seas logic, but do we need it for, like, Swamp or Ice, even? I guess probably because there's only one pendant left in Dark World. And with his boots, he's actually going to check Lumberjack Cave now. Stinger's still making his way up the tower. He's on the second to last floor, technically. Actually, that's the hook shot, isn't it? I got a better look on Lunchtime screen there.
That was a square handle I saw, so yeah, that does appear to be the hook shot.
Okay, so that is a required Aga then. It was hard to tell when Stinger checked because he barely saw it.
Now, this makes a lot of sense, too. The hookshot being on the Lumberjack Cave means that they're going to have access to Western Dark World through the hookshot going across the river as soon as they fit Aga. Because Aga will dump you out into Eastern Dark World, and then with the hookshot they'll be able to find their way over to Village of Outcasts.
They will have to leave Dark World to go get it, though. All right, Stinger is at Aga 1, so there's a little game that we play here on Rando where we guess how many blue balls Aga 1 will fire if you end up having to fight them. The number is anywhere between 0 to 15, and the average is typically 3. I think I'm going to guess that for this one.
Well, let's be a little nice to the runners. I'm going to say 1.
Oh, there's the first one. There's 2.
Well, Seed putting me to shame already.
There's 3. I might be wrong, too. That was a very unforgiving volley. Lunchtime is working his way up to the top of the tower now as well, knowing that he really should just do it. He did not check Sick Kid, though, so we still don't know what that is.
The seed does seem to be very strongly pointing at Aga, as we've previously discussed, so I can understand Lunchtime choosing to skip out on the Sick Kid for now.
Yeah.
There's probably not going to be much there.
Also, it looks like it's going to be 3 blue balls, because Aga at the start of every phase after firing lightning is guaranteed to fire a normal shot, and he's got 1 hit left. I think that's 3 seeds I've commentated in a row where I've gotten the correct number of Aga shots. I doubt I'll keep that streak going.
Stinger's probably going to be just checking the pyramid here, and then mirroring back to the light world. Saving and quitting alone will not do it.
Yeah, he does have to action mirror. Unless he's actually considering checking pod quickly.
It does appear to be a pod check.
I guess thinking about maybe in his mind he thinks he still needs boots. But we know where those are from Lunchtime.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I did forget that Stinger does not have the boots yet, so a quick dip into pod looking for boots.
Well, I'm actually expecting him to do 2 things here, because he can also do Eastern thanks to the mirror, so he might dip both dungeons.
And it looks like you are exactly right. Going to be picking up 60 rupees from Sahasrahla, then dipping into Eastern most likely. Then the boots will lead to the hookshot. And the world opens wide up right after that.
Yep, there's that map check again from Stinger. I don't think he gave us a Dark World map. No, there it is. We have red crystals at Thieves and Swamp, and the other pendant is at Mire.
So, first double required, cane required.
Yeah, we do need that cane of Samaria this seed. It was guaranteed when we knew where the pendants were. And we do need those flippers too for Swamp, so both are eventual.
Lunchtime completing his Aga now, and soon will be in the Dark World.
Whereas Stinger does enter pod. Can't do much here. In fact, if this first chest is not a key, he can't do anything here.
Is pod going to be bow locked? No. He can
Not
continue.
yet. So now Stinger has to decide how he's going to route out the dungeon. I'm a little surprised he didn't mirror back to the front. I think he just remembered he had it.
The mirror does save so much time in pod. It's very easy to underestimate, but then when you have to do mirrorless pod, you really notice.
Yeah. With this being Lunchtime's first check in Dark World, so he may consider What was I gonna say? He may consider using a map check as well. Looks like he's also just gonna go straight over the pod. Interesting. I thought for sure he'd
the
go
hook
there.
shot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would wonder if he would have. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm surprised Lunch didn't go straight back to grab the hook shot, knowing where it is. And there's the flippers. Oh, I think I know what Stinger's about to do here.
Oh, he did pick up that red potion. He has a potion in store. There is a new minor glitch that was recently discovered where you can get past the mimic room that locks that bow locks the pod.
Yeah, he's
By
gonna
drinking
try
the
and...
potion, as you walk to the left, you can unlock the camera and then use the unlocked camera to grab the wall. Here we go. We're going to see Stinger going to be grabbing the wall, moving these mimics over to the far side of the room. And once those mimics are off screen, the game says, hey, they're not on screen. You must have killed them. I'm going to open the door.
The problem is getting them to sync up properly. There we go. I think he's almost got it now. Yep, there it goes.
Yeah, this glitch was recently discovered in the last couple of weeks, so it may be new to a lot of our viewers. We'll see if Lunchtime knows it as well.
Yeah, he may consider doing it to save a bit of a trip through pod. There's the big key, so it's going to pay out the space for Stinger. Yeah, it looks like Lunchtime is not going to bother doing that. But Lunchtime with those boots, making quick work of these walkways.
Also, the setup for that glitch does specifically require a specific setup of the rooms, and only works in that one mimic room. The one that blocks the path to Helmasaur cannot, it does not have the proper setup for that glitch. So we're going to see the bow still required to finish pod and get to Helmasaur if that's what the runners choose to do.
Yeah, I imagine the main reason it works in that first mimic room is because there was a room next door, which is not the case on the other one. Pod really only paying out with flippers so far, though. And Lunch is going to go over into the maze, but he can't get the big chest yet. Magic powder, which they can technically check once they have the means to actually open more of Dark World a little more efficiently. And the 20 rupees means
that will cost them their portal, though. So that's going to be a very expensive bat check right now.
Exactly. They're going to wait until they actually have better access. Alright, so Stinger gets to check the big chest here, and that's the only other item he can grab. Wow, not worth it at all.
Just a single rupee. But it does check one item off, so that's one fewer item that he's going to have to worry about.
Yeah. I guess Lunch is doing
Lunchtime
flipper
going to put those flippers to use. Now, Lunchtime did not fake flipper, it seems, so he's going to be heading up to Hobo to check that out, and then probably up to the waterfall to pick up his cane.
And the with the money that was with it.
With the 300 rupees that's with it, he's going to be able to pay for Zora as well.
Stinger will have the boots probably the next couple minutes, though, which will catch him up on a little bit of lost footwork. Just checking Hobo? I find that a little weird. Maybe he's gonna round in with catfish later instead. Makes sense.
We know that won't cost him too much because the cane isn't going to be needed until later with the game. Neither player has gotten to Zora, so we don't know what the effect that is going to be on the total time take.
Yeah. Alright, so Lunch gonna go get his hook shot. And with this, it's time for the adventure of My Gloves and Hammer in Dark World, where are they? Lunch is going to be forced to go take the north route at this point, unless he wants to do Catfish Briar. But he can check King's Tomb on the way to Skull Woods and the Village of Outcasts.
Stinger picking up those boots, and you have to wonder when boots are in an accessible location like that, what runs through the runner's head? Oh man, my opponent could have had the boots. Did they find the boots? Both players have now seen what's on the hook shot, so they know that the boots are a required piece of this puzzle.
Oh yeah, they needed actually both flippers and hook shots to access left side. They didn't have a hammer or a lift upgrade to get by those the rocker pigs over there.
That is such a good point. I so often, when that turns out to be the case, just find myself stopped right there. I'm like, oh boy.
It is a very seldom occurred predicament that you end up in. Alright, Lunch is going to go check King's Tomb. But yeah, I guess that explains why both runners decided they should check Pod, because they needed the flippers to do anything else in the Dark World before getting the hook shot.
Lunchtime picking up the Quake medallion. Now we know that Turtle Rock is required and Mire is not, so that could potentially be the only required medallion of the game.
Entirely possible. Oh, and Graveyard Cliff too. Jesus, just takes out the entire north side.
This is the kind of routing you love to experience as a runner.
Yeah, the early mirror just makes this inconvenience kind of convenient. That, however, is not convenient. But Lunchtime's gonna grab it anyway.
Puts him only 7 rupees away from Zora money. That's probably going in the back of his mind. He does not know the 300 rupees are in the waterfall. So he is saving up.
True.
Now, Lunchtime already did the Bonk Rocks as soon as he got the boots, so that is not going to be routed in right now.
Bumper Cave will, though. And he can get in if it's important. Well, actually, no, he doesn't have a lift upgrade. But it's just bombs. You have the cave to get by the bumper, just not the glove to get by the rock.
So uncommon that that's the limiting factor, but here we are. Lunchtime heading into Skull Woods, see what items he's going to be able to pull out there. Without the fire rod, he's not going to be able to complete the dungeon, but there could potentially be 2 items in the front of the dungeon.
Well, instant big key means it's time for Bob Jump. And yeah, Skull Woods typically does have something good in it in seeds like this, because it's not hard to get into this dungeon at all. Like, the front part could be cleared with pretty much any equipment you start with. Lunchtime is going to have to fall down the hole, though, to get to the other side of the chests. Well, that's all 3 dungeon items. But there's still a couple keys. That is one instance where you're happy that's key.
Yeah, no key there means he's going to have to, or he would have had to go down through the pinball room, and that's just a lousy room to go through. But that is not going to be required today. That key lets him right out of the dungeon, and he is going to choose to route in the statue room check, the vanilla big key location.
Had he done the remainder of his Flipper's path, he would actually have the King of Smart to subvert this statue pull. But does it very quickly regardless of that. And another key. Both the items are in the back. That's unfortunate. Which means the answer is actually the Village of Outcasts, probably. Or
Well,
Zora.
really, it just makes it that much sweeter when they come back with the fire.
Yeah. I guess the answer could also be on Zora. What a weird start. No lifts, no hammer. But you have both pieces of footwear.
Dark World access via Aga. Village of Outcasts access via flippers and hookshot.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. Worst part too is that if they do go into Thieves, there's a chance they may not be able to full clear the dungeon because of the fact you need hammer to reach the big chest. No lift upgrade will also make the room before Blind Cell less convenient because of the fact there's usually a lift rock in the way for the path most people take. Oh, there's red mail. Now he becomes the gold card. I guess that makes sense. And around Sick Kid too, from the looks of it.
Stinger coming back to Blind's hut in the light world for the back chest that he missed. 300 rupees there.
Yeah, he's cleaning up the bombs he missed in the top part. Whereas lunchtime, I imagine, you have to go in. Even if you maybe have to come back for an item, you need to go in because you have nothing. This is also for a 5/6 crystal, so he'd love to grab that as well if he can get it. Which with his current equipment, he should have that without much of a hassle.
Yeah, from the looks of things, it's 9 hearts and red mail. This should be a fairly easy blind. We'll see if we can get the full scripted version or just a improvised version.
Yeah, we also have the Cane and Burn us, so that makes blind even easier. There's the hammer. If there's a dungeon you want to find that in, it's this one.
Now that is going to make this dungeon full clearable. So as we see lunchtime make his way around, gonna pick up blind, finish the dungeon.
Well, this is also a little bit helpful for lunchtime because now he can use his hammer to route back over towards Catfish if he wants to, and just take out Catfish and Waterfall Cave and Zora. So this would allow lunchtime to literally make a full loop around Dark World and clean it out. And if I'm not mistaken, I actually think we have the means to do Swamp outside. Yeah, no, I think we do have the means to do Swamp.
Yeah, full swamp is on the table. That hammer opening up. The hammer is an often forgotten part of completing Swamp, but you learn pretty quick when you come upon that first hammer peg room.
Yeah, and the Swamp is the other 5/6 crystal, so that would open up the pyramid right away.
So the two dungeons that are readily completable are 5 and 6 crystals for the bum at the bomb shop that opens the Pyramid Ferry. Could the seed be leading them right there?
I'm not sure why lunchtime has Helm Storm marked as defeated. I don't believe neither runner can get to the back entrance yet, so I don't know why that's lit up. But regardless of that. Lunchtime knows that the remaining 3 things down here are items because he just found that compass upstairs. And yeah, no lift upgrade means you have to kill the enemies in that room to go around. Oh, this is annoying too. The blind cell has the key. Talk about a long winding path.
You know, there is always the possibility that the key could be in that chest itself. But doesn't seem to be the case today. Just a big 20 in the big chest. So that hammer's going to be there for other purposes.
Hammer is important regardless of pretty much anything, so...
Well, you know, I like to skip the hammer every now and then.
Our runners certainly don't. They'd like to have the hammer whenever possible. Alright, lunchtime. Starting his blind fight. Lunchtime concluding his blind fight. That went pretty well. And another sword for his troubles. Stinger's not too far.
Master Sword alone, only opening the tablets if we find a book.
Still a nice power upgrade.
Other than that, just combat capability for our runners. Looks like lunchtime is just going to be checking out the bat, having picked up that powder and not able to do anything in this area of the map in the Dark World without the lift upgrade.
Yeah, the fact that he did find the hammer makes this check a lot more convenient.
Yeah, without the hammer, you can get into the bat. Well, actually, no. Without the lift upgrade, you cannot use the mirror to get into there.
Yeah, you would need at least Titan Smiths in order to use the mirror. Speaking of mitts of some kind, Bat actually had one of our upgrades. So lunchtime now has a much more accessible Dark World now. He can use some of the portals on the lower portion of the world to actually progress a bit. There are still some Titan's locked portals he can't use yet, but this is ideal. He at least has easier access to everything now and doesn't have to go to the castle every single time.
Stinger starting the blind fight as well. So far, the first 2 hits are perfectly scripted. Taking a few hits. Plenty of health remaining. And blind goes down for Stinger. Stinger going to be picking up that Master Sword and the first crystal, evening out the crystal count. Meanwhile, lunchtime.
A long dig game for Titan Smiths. Alright.
No gloves to 2 gloves.
That is like all the movement you want. You just would like to have a flute for further movement. This means lunchtime's gonna go do the Smiths now because that is like perfect timing.
And you know, the color scheme on those myths goes strikingly well with the armor that he's wearing.
Yeah, lunchtime is color coordinated. Whereas the frog can't tell whether it looks cool or silly that he has these colors on. This wide stare. Hammer peg's not worth it once more. I find that more often than not is not worth your time.
It's so hard to be conclusive about locations on the overworld.
Yeah. And heart container from the Smiths. Now to grab the lunch box and do the remainder of the South Dark World. So Stinger's also going to get his... Sorry.
So Stinger going to be picking up the Titan's Mist, but going back to the frequency of the Overworld location, the developers did release a data set a few days back about from 25,000 seeds, how often are various locations required, and hammer pegs coming in right around 10%.
Oh, interesting. Which means every 1 in 10 seeds you should be checking that location, which is not very good, but given you have 200 locations in the game, you do never know. Stumpy only given 20 rupees. And he moves on to turn in the chest and go to Hype Cave as well. And it looks like he's going to take care of the chest first, because he probably plans to continue after Hype Cave. Someone in the chat was actually asking how often is head typically required. Oh, high silvers. That's something very valuable to be in that purple chest.
The Master Sword pedestal comes in at just under 5%.
That sounds about right. All right, lunchtime off to the Hype Cave. People are always on like the fence as to whether or not this is still Hype Cave, because there are definitely instances where it is not very hype. And, well, yeah, this is looking to be another one of those. Yep, lots of basic items in here.
Best thing that comes out of that is B-Torp in a bottle.
Yep. All right, lunch. Are you doing swamp? Looks like it. You would normally want to save this dungeon for a while, like if you could try and get through it faster, but it's 6 items, you have the boots to make it faster, and you're not hunting for the hook shot, so you may as well just clear out the 6 items that are in it.
Plus, you're missing the items to do a lot of other dungeons. This is right on your way. The items that you do have, just fit like a glove right into what dungeon is asking for. So the seed does seem to suggest that it wants the runners to do swamp.
Well, not to mention, like we mentioned before, it's the second of the 5-6 crystals, so that also opens up the Pyramid Fairy, which you can actually route in on your way to Catfish. So maybe Lunchtime is really trying to coordinate the entirety of Dark World at his fingertips here.
I will say, for a strange of routing that the seed forced the players into in the early game, it is definitely treating them to a nice set of convenient pathing for item checking in the late game.
Yeah, they've gotten a fair bit of what they need. Surprisingly, for like actually finishing the seed, the runners only need the bow and the 2 rods and whatever medallion is Turtle Rock, because we know where Samaria is. Lunchtime just hasn't gone to get it yet.
Lunchtime, of course, not knowing that the red cane is there, but given the way that he's avoided taking the portal up to the Zora area, it certainly does appear that he's planning to route in the check to Catfish and the Zora area after completing Swamp.
Yeah, he's going to do a very thorough route here. Stinger got his silvers and is also going to go into Swamp. And Lunchtime did find the big key earlier, so he can open the big chest right here. 20 roops. Alright, Lunch appears to be doing the skip left side of swamp strategy. See if it pays out for him. He's still got 5 items to find, so I do believe he's going to have to go to the left side regardless. It's just a question of whether it's 1 item or 2.
Yeah, given how much of the world is open and how much is unchecked at this point, there is a lot of sense in skipping the left side for now.
Unfortunately, there are 2 items on the left side.
Yeah, the
So
presence of the map and compass in the areas that Lunchtime has checked does imply that there will be 2 non-dungeon items found on the left side of Swamp.
Yeah, that means Lunch will probably be tempted to just come right back in and grab them. But with what has been tossed at him so far in Swamp Palace, it's not very enticing. Alright, Lunchtime at Argus. With the Master Sword, he is going to have to either do 2 slashes or a sword spin to take care of the Argai. Also took a couple of hits there because the weird hitbox on these Argai makes it so that if you draw them in from below Argus, their hitbox basically overlaps yours and you'll get hit shortly after pulling them over.
Well, that's neat. I did not know that how that worked.
But he's down to just Argus himself and a couple of sword spins, or hammer hits even. They would do, I think, the same in this particular instance. Should take care of him.
4 Master Sword spins will put Argus out of his misery.
Yep, down he goes. He drops a piece of heart.
So Lunchtime is leaving Swamp directly south of the Bond Shop. There is a mirror in his possession, and he's defeated Agahnim. And the 2 crystals that he has are the 5 and 6 crystals required to put that orange bomb in the bomb shop. A more perfect scenario for doing the Pyramid Fairy I cannot imagine.
And it does look like Lunchtime is going to completely gamble on there being nothing on left side. Stinger, meanwhile, is actually going to route in left side first. It's kind of interesting how these runners are thinking very differently right now. Kind of have been the entire seed. And yeah, with Aga defeated, you get a very convenient big bomb passage up to the pyramid. While we are waiting for our big explosive delivery, Stinger is closing in on those 2 chests that Lunchtime skipped.
The runners are going to be arriving at these chests about the same time. First chest on the left side is going to be just a piece of heart. Lunchtime detonating a big bomb, find his way into Pyramid. Not a lot in Pyramid, just a 5 bomb capacity upgrade and a small shield.
Yep, so this was a bust as well, as was left side, so Lunchtime not going to have to worry about that. It'll be in the back of his mind, but he made the right decision there. And Lunchtime is going over to Catfish, Warpole Cave, and Zora now. So he's taking care of pretty much every single little bit of Dark World, Overworld. Like he has to. I think the only location he'll have to come back and check that's like completely Dark World, other than the dungeons, is the Bombos tablet later. So really thoroughly done by Lunchtime, and when he's done here, I imagine he'll go right to Death Mountain. Because we've been locked off from that because of no Power Glove. Ew. Catfish, better item next time. Or not. We're sometimes happy he has nothing.
Indeed, the Power Glove locking our runners out of Death Mountain until they completed their Dark World loop, and now both runners going to be able to imminently head up to Death Mountain and, well, full clear, because they're going to have access to the entirety of Death Mountain, both the Light and Dark World sides and the East and West sides.
Yeah, we just can't do Turtle Rock yet because of the missing rods. I also just noticed, looking at both of our screens here, we found that many arrow capacity upgrades already. We're 10 from cap.
All the way up to 60 arrows.
Life lesson.
The lunchtime, choosing to spawn at the Sanctuary, which suggests that he's going to be heading right up to Death Mountain.
Yeah, this is the play I would have made immediately. That being said, though, Stinger appears to be frozen. I don't know what happened. I imagine he's fine, and this is why runners typically have a backup on their end, just in the event like something happens with their internet. They have a backup recording just for situations like these.
I'm sure that'll turn out fine. Meanwhile, lunchtime, meeting the old man in the Death Mountain cave. Going to be escorting him to his cave at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Now, do you think lunchtime is going to make a trip into Hera? It is a pendant, and there are a large number of overworld spots available on this mountain.
It's a quick enough check. He may consider if there's nothing in the basement that he has to go get.
Yeah, that's a common logic that I use, is walk on in, and if I find the big key, I'll continue, but if it's a small key telling me to go to the basement, I'll just nope right on out of there.
I guess also for Stinger's sake here, let's hope he didn't like full crash, because he would lose a lot of progress doing that, having done, I think, like the entire Dark World loop without having saved. But lunchtime here are going to give us a lot of important information for the seed. I also do want to point out, even though PED doesn't have a lot that could, well, it does actually have a fair bit that could be on it, we would need a flute in order for any of it to be possible. Flute would unlock both desert and mire.
So that is another Retorp in a bottle. Checking out Paradox Cave, now going to the upper floor.
Oh, there's the single arrow.
To pick up on our point from earlier, lunchtime did opt to jump down off of Death Mountain and proceed to the eastern side. A mushroom picked up out of Paradox Cave.
Well, that's one other location they're gonna have to check now, the old witch. Alright, lunchtime with his mirror, now gonna go check Super Bunny Cave. And he gets the hookshot clip as well. Two more items are at disposal over here. Another 50 rupee drop, another piece of heart.
Yeah, on that hookshot clip, there are several pixels away from the wall that you can stand, and right as the block starts to move, you just spam hookshot. And that'll pull you right in through the block, and you'll be able to walk out to the side and save yourself a trip up and down the stairs.
Hookshot cave down getting knocked out. I completely missed what the medallion for T-Rock was.
Does appear to have been quaked.
Fire Rod, so well, that is the right medallion that they needed, and with a Fire Rod, you actually can check most of T-Rock. And it looks like Lunchtime is thinking about it. But he's got to check what's on this island first. I didn't quite see it, but it looked like another red object. Probably the red boomerang. Or a red rupee.
It appeared to me to be a red rupee, so Lunchtime using the opportunity to go to the light world as well to up on top of Turtle Rock. Use the Quake Medallion. Gonna open that up. Has everything to complete the dungeon except the Ice Rod for Trinexx. So...
yeah, he could opt to check it. There are 5 items in T-Rock.
Could always be hoping for the Ice Rod in the dungeon itself.
Yeah, we just need Ice Rod and Bow to complete the seed now.
Lunchtime stepping away appears to be going into Spiral Cave. All right.
Makes sense.
Just knock out one more potential overworld location for that Ice Rod before stepping into the dungeon.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if he save and quits after this, and maybe goes to kill Moth quickly. But he can't do that at any time.
We did see, recall that there were 2 items in the back there, and the Fire Rod opens those up.
He also has access to ice, having acquired that Fire Rod, so we could see him delay a trip to T-Rock for a while. Especially when there are easier to access locations and less time-consuming ones that you can do.
Ones that are guaranteed to give progression in the form of crystals toward access to Ganon's Tower and the end of the game. So indeed, Lunchtime heading up to fight the Moth. Red Mail 12 Hearts and a Master Sword plus Fire Rod seems like a potent combination to deal with a giant Moth.
Yeah, with what he has, Moth is decently doable with a Master Sword. Tempered Sword really shreds it, but Master Sword's typically enough.
This requires a little bit of patience. Wait for the Moth to get off the wall. Don't force it and he'll be fine.
Alright, Lunchtime, I imagine knowing both these items are required is just going to get the one over here first. Some runners will opt to skip this thing, hoping there's no item, but you know it's an item, you have the mirror. Check it, mirror back, takes no time. Another heart container, so we're up to 13 with the red mail. We got plenty of health.
13 is all the health that you're going to get for the NMG speedrun. And most of the time, runners in that speedrun do look to cut out the red mitt, but our runners today get the benefit of.
Yeah, typically blue mail is enough for a runner of randomizer or no major glitches. Alright, Lunch gonna go take out the Moth. Using a hammer. Hammer Moth is not easy, but he makes it look easy. He gets Bombos.
Now we know that Bombos is not the intended path to ice because it was locked behind the Fire Rod, and it doesn't open Well, it doesn't open T-Rock. It might open Mire, which could put Pendant Mire on the table.
Yep. Pendant Mire does give other problems. Speaking of other problems, when you've killed Agahnim and you're in the Dark World and have the mirror, it will put you on top of the pyramid when you save quit. So once forgetting this gets warped under the pyramid, and it does look like he's going to go right to ice next.
So lunchtime, just a bow and an ice rod away from go mode. Would like to pick up another sword upgrade at some point, but the Master Sword would technically be sufficient.
Yeah. And with both Fire Rod and Bombos, he can definitely clear out the ice creatures in the dungeon. Ice Palace is typically a dungeon that most runners loathe because it takes a long time to clear and it's really annoying. But if you know... Sorry.
There are 3 items that you have to get as well, and it takes a long time if you're going to get those.
Yeah, if you know certain tricks, though, you can speed up this dungeon. One of the main ones being the Ice Palace bomb jump.
The bomb jump making such a huge difference if you're planning on skipping the items that are on the right side of the dungeon.
Indeed. So lunch coming into another one of the weird rooms in this game, this double Stalfos room. If you make the second Stalfos there vulnerable, both of them become vulnerable, and you can kill them with the bomb. It's a weird way with how the Stalfos are programmed.
You know, I never noticed that.
Conversely, if one of them is getting up, they're both invulnerable. Their state is, for some reason, shared. Alright, not having found a key yet, Let's just gonna opt to go straight over to that hookshot side. If you find a key early, you can skip having to go to the right here. But with the hookshot, it's a small detour. Just gotta get these just stupid jellyfish out of the way.
Now, if you skip the bomb jump, you are actually in a position to walk past the drop down that would take you to Cold Stare and do a loop around that takes you to the iced tea room. And then you can use the cane after having not done the bomb jump to replace the block that is normally blocked off by the pegs.
Yeah, so technically speaking, the bomb jump was not required by lunchtime in this particular seed. But you may as well do it and get practice with it because you'll need it for most other seeds. And there's the big key, so lunchtime is going to go open the big chest, and then he's got to make his way over to the iced tea room still as well. Still got this room too. With a map, which means I think the small key he would need to skip going to that side. Which which I think he just realized he doesn't have. Is actually in the iced tea room or on Cold Stair. Or in the big chest. Probably more likely on the big chest.
Now lunchtime is going to be blocked from the quick route to get around to the iced tea room in the back, so gonna have to take the fall and then walk back up and around to get back to the iced tea room.
Yeah, people have to go around to get to this location. Right into this room, and I believe that was the last drop for the dungeon.
Lunchtime choosing to go back the way that he came because he only has the one small key.
Well, more like
that
this
he
is
will-
fast. It's also faster to do this. It just falls down the hole and he's a Cold Stair. Now, normally, in this dungeon, you would need to make sure you had a full tank of magic to fire Rod Mill Cold Stairs Ice. Bombo subverts that.
Activation of Bombos without half magic takes 1/4 of your magic bar and melts Cold Stair's outer ice shell instantly.
Wow, Lushon did a good job keeping Cold Stair in the corner. Did a lot of damage to those pieces. Took them down real fast.
And with the remaining 3/4 of the magic bar, takes out the ice rod and dispatches Cold Stair quite handily.
Yeah, that's probably the fastest Master Sword Cold Stair I've seen. That was very efficient. And since chat is actually bringing up Ped again, both our missing items, the bow and the ice rod, can be on Ped. Because they're both required for specific dungeons that are not in our pendant loop. But Ped can only be a thing if we have the flute, which we don't. Lunchtime is remembering something here, apparently I've forgotten. Oh, he's doing the mushroom. Okay, that will explain it. This is, I think, the only other thing he has left aside from Turtle Rock and Hera. And, well, Spike Cave, but yeah. The point is he has to go back up the mountain after this. Oh, definitely.
Nothing but a big 20 coming from the witch's assistant in the potion shop. So instead, just opting to free the B-Torps in the bottle that he had and fill up on blue potion. Then saves and quits right out of there and presumably is going to be spawning up near Gary. But no, choosing to spawn at Link House.
I guess he's checking Agahnim. I guess he's checking Agahnim.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else that would be over here. There's no flute or book access to desert.
This location's always annoying. If he was holding something important, it's going to be a bit of a thing. But he's not, so it looks like the answer is up on Death Mountain. The question is, do you go up to Pendant, Hera, and Spike Cave, or do you just dip the turtle?
Now, given the way Lunchtime has been playing the seed, he's been playing it very conservatively, seeking to avoid Turtle Rock at all costs until that Ice Rod is in his possession. So, and indeed, it appears that he is heading up towards Spike Cave and probably again toward Hera. So we will be checking those locations. Now, choosing to route Spike Cave after Hera.
Hera's got 2 locations, Spike Cave has 1. Turtle Rock has 5, technically 6, which is why it's usually a better call. The problem is that T-Rock is a dungeon you absolutely do not want to double dip unless you have to.
Seeing just a map in the first room in the basement, so mirroring straight out of there, doesn't need that.
Lunchtime, is this worth your time? No, it's not.
Finds a key in, excuse me, the vanilla map chest. So it says, no, I think I'll skip out on basement today.
Yep.
And now is routing in the Spike Cave, since one often wants to save and quit out of the Spike Cave instead of have to go back.
Yeah. Problem is after save quitting out of Spike Cave, he then has to mirror and then save quit once again because Agahnim. Temperate Sword in Spike Cave. Alright, Lunchtime, you left Hera. Are you going to T-Rock? It looks like he's going to the right. Well, we could have gone into this dungeon and gotten a lot of its items a while ago, so it'll be interesting to see what's in there.
Now here's a question for you, Buckshot. If he finds the bow in Turtle Rock, does he keep going?
It would depend on how early he finds it. Because he had less information in Pod than Stinger did. So if he finds the bow, he may be inclined to go see what was remaining in Pod and maybe what Helmasaur had. He knows the Armos don't have what he's looking for. Because the items in Eastern were all cleared out. And we do still need access to Desert and Mire. So a book, well, not Desert. Actually, Desert and Mire are both pendants, so never mind. We really just need the Ice Rod and the bow. But if we need the flute or the book, then the pad gets open. Neither of those items can be on, well, one of them can be, but, you know, flute can't be, book could.
Now, one of the nicest outcomes I can think of if you find the bow is you keep going, you find the Ice Rod, you finish Turtle Rock, and then you have the bow, and you can go straight to Pod and then mirror straight out and finish Eastern, and that puts you in 7 crystals, ready to go for Ganon Tower.
Well, those are final medallions, so if Mire is required, it is definitely accessible.
Without that flute, though, it's still not a consideration.
No. Big Key was in a very favorable position this seed, though. So if Lunchtime wanted to skip the vanilla big chest, he could. But given he is searching for something and his out of location is practically the book, I imagine he will probably still check that chest.
Lunchtime making his way through the lava room, and as he's continuing to make his way through the lava room, this would be a great time to remember to remind you, hey, if you like what you're seeing here today, give the runners a follow. They're putting on a show for you.
Indeed they are. Lunch unfortunately finds the map at the vanilla big key location, so...
Also using the key, so we will have to go outside and check the vanilla big key chest and the crystal roller room to find the key that is going to let him downstairs.
You'll also need to find the one on Laser Bridge, but he was going to clear out all of Laser Bridge anyways. So it's not that big of a deal. Not to mention, unless he finds Ice Rod, he's going to have to leave the dungeon.
Lunchtime now coming up to the Mimic Cave, which is only accessible as you make your way through Turtle Rock, despite technically being in the light world.
Yeah, it's one of the most annoying locations you can check.
A lot of maps will put this in the light world, and it can be confusing if you're looking at the light world Death Mountain map. And also, if the silvers happen to be there, Ganon will confusingly say, hey, did you find the arrows in the light world?
Yeah. Lunch finds the key. Looks like we're probably going to find the item we're looking for progression, as per usual, on Laser Bridge. Oh, there's the flute.
Well, that is not the progression that Lunchtime had hoped for. That is going to open Mire and not open one of the dungeons that he needs to complete.
That opens the Pendant trifecta. This is not what I was hoping to see right now. Could we please rewind? I'd like a redo on this seed. That being said, if Lunchtime has suspicion of Ped, he may think about blind pulling it. If he finds the book, he'll be able to at least check it. But this is going to force him in the direction of Pendant, which he was hoping to avoid. And there's the compass, so I think the remaining item is on Trinexx. He's got one more item in this last chest on the bridge. And it's the bow, so he's going to have to come back to kill Trinexx as well.
But the bow means that 2 entire dungeons are available for full completion, so if I were Lunchtime, I'm certainly just going straight to do those dungeons before even setting foot in Mire.
Well, I would activate the flute. Then I would go to Pod Eastern.
That's reasonable.
And yeah, the only item we are now missing is the Ice Rod. And that can be on Ped, because it's only required for Turtle Rock. If we find the book, the text for that would be a freeze ray.
Now, we have seen that all the items have been found from Eastern. Did we get a count on the items remaining in Pod? I think they full cleared it, except for Helmasaur King.
Helmasaur is the only item we don't know, and I don't actually remember if it's an actual item. I believe it is. But I don't actually remember. Because on the right side here at lunchtime was a small key and a big key left. And the big chest had a single ruby in it. I just don't remember if they found the compass and map already. I suppose when lunchtime does some pause menu switching in a little bit, we'll know. But he and his 60 arrow silver arrow stocked bow will be going to clear out these two dungeons in rapid succession.
Now, in terms of what that flute opens up, aside from direct access to the mire area, it also opens desert, along with Desert Ledge and Checkerboard Cave. There are 2 items that could come out of desert. Completing desert lets you check Sahasrahla.
Yeah, and I think Lunch just realized it, and I was questioning this wholeheartedly. I think he was considering just going straight to Helmasaur, but he doesn't have a small key. And he needs the big key too. They're both over here on the bow side. So yeah, probably getting a little overzealous there.
Just a quick trip around the eastern loop of this house, and we will see Lunchtime picking up the big key and the small key and heading into Helmasaur.
He will be going straight over to Helm. I imagine he'll just save the big chest for his last, for another trip back in. Or, like with the left side of Swamp, he may choose to skip it thinking it's nothing. Uses KSR to subvert that room and comes to the second set of Gorias. Alright, so if Helm doesn't have an item, then which Pendant dungeon do we really need to go to, or do we have to go to all of them? Because I think the thing that sucks the most about the 3 Pendant dungeons this seed, they're all dungeons that only have 2 items.
And Ice Rod being an item that has absolutely no dependencies in the logic except for Trinexx, so it could simply be anywhere.
And because of the green pendant, there's 7 total locations that the pendant dungeons will offer, and then the 8th being Ped. And if we find the book, that's other locations we can check. We find the shovel, that's one more fetch quest to check off. There's still so many bad outcomes that could happen on what has already been a bit of a lengthy seed. Well, Helmasaur is going to die here. Looks like Lunchtime was probably did not mean to select the boomerang. That would not have killed Helm. Silver Arrow, though, will definitely kill Helm.
May just be selecting the blue boomerang for future consideration in Ganon's Tower, since there are pathing decisions that the blue boomerang is quite useful for.
True. We're still a bit of a ways from that, but it is a consideration. He will probably go back in and get that remaining chest, though, which we know is unfortunately just a single rupee. And then he'll clear out Eastern. So yeah, Pod and Easter we did clear out all the items from. The answer lies in the Pendant dungeon, or with their Pendant directive. So I guess the question is, if you're lunchtime, which one do you do first?
So I'm heading to the Mire area because, first off, 2 of the Pendant dungeons are right there. They're Light World, Dark World analogs of each other. Lunchtime going to be attempting to set up the bomb jump to jump across to the hammer chest, since that is the only location that is still unchecked. And if you can go straight to this one chest, he'll save himself some time. But I would be going to the Mire area.
Yeah, Mire would make the most sense because of its 2 immediate dungeons in the vicinity. Not to mention Desert is a very quick dungeon and has the green pendant.
And not only that, but there is the Mire Shed and Checkerboard Cave that also could hold this ice rod.
Yeah. Which means Hera will be the last place lunchtime considers to look.
Which also plays nicely with the routing, because that puts him on Death Mountain to go straight into T-Rock.
Well, the thing is, if Hera doesn't... Sorry, if Hera doesn't have it, then he has to worry about the fact that Hera may just be there to lead him to pedestal. But it looks like, at this point, lunchtime's just gonna take out Armos. Really, no reason to hold off on Armos since you're over here. Just execute these guys with your silvers, be on your merry way, don't worry about this corner of the map again.
Yeah, getting the 1-2 punch of Pod into Eastern is always a delight when you're running this game in the randomizer.
Yeah, this game has a lot of dungeons you can pair with each other.
Another pair being Mired and Desert. As we were mentioning, it looks like lunchtime is going to have to be diving some Pendant dungeons to try to find this ice rod.
Yep. Because we knew Armos didn't have anything. Man, this scene has been particularly bad. A very roundabout means of going around the Dark World. Pyramid Fairy being an early access with a complete bust. And now going forcefully over to Pendants, potentially having to go pull Pedestal.
Lunchtime having done a near 100% completion of the Overworld.
I think he just has Tablet and Shovel left for Overworld.
And using the first flute to jump down and check the graveyard ledge, finding that that is not in fact the ice rod.
Yep. Desert Ledge, if it was the item he was looking for, would save him a lot of time.
Coming up on the 2 chests in Mire Shed, are we going to find the ice rod? 300 rupees and a single rupee. 301 rupees coming out of the Mire Shed, but no ice rod.
Yep, now he's gonna do Desert.
Desert has the potential to offer its items early, and again, if those are the ice rod, he gets right out of there and straight to T-Rock.
Fire
Just
Shield.
Fire Shield.
Gonna opt against. And which key is in this chest? Big, which means the big chest has the small key. But do you consider going to the Lambos first before checking this right side?
No, I would check the right side first.
Yeah, some runners would opt to check the boss first because Well, it also depends on where you came in, and I guess in this instance, mirroring back's not hard, but if you do the boss first and the boss doesn't have the item, then you don't have to come back in.
I'm more swayed by the higher likelihood of the item I'm looking for being in one of two chests.
That is true. Unfortunately, you could have skipped it this time. So we might check checkerboard first, but it's not going to be long for me to get where he's to regardless.
I had to guess that looked like an accidental mirror from lunchtime, so
Yeah, it looks like he may have,
right back into that.
May have fat-fingered the button.
Rock overhead. And just a piece of heart in the checkerboard cave. No ice rod still.
Now, worms. Alright, so our last item in Desert is coming up, but we also get a green pendant to go with it that will probably be checked down the road if needed. Silver Arrow's going to make quick work of these worms. But Lunch was actually early on every shot. Lunch, having missed a few too many times, finally decides to say, screw it, give me the fire rod.
Finishing off Lanma with the last bit of magic in the fire rod, picking up the green pendant and 3 bombs only from Lanmalas.
1 pendant dungeon down. And 2 to go. Looks like he's going to turn that green pendant immediately.
Front-loading as many item checks as possible just makes sense when all you're looking for is that 1 ice rod.
Yeah, this is your typical Ice Rod as being super elusive seed. Ice Rod likes to be your last item, and it likes to say, go find me wherever the hell I may be. And it looks like it was bombos for Mire. Alright, Lunch into Mire.
Going in with full hearts means that he will have the sword beams necessary to hopefully clear this first Wizroom room very quickly.
Yeah, sword beams help out in this room a lot. is one of the best rooms in the game to have them for. Sword beams are typically very hindering because they don't do as much damage as your normal sword slash.
They have the terrible tendency to make contact with the enemy that you want to hit with your full damage sword swing before the sword actually makes contact and overwrites your damage with measly fighter sword damage.
Yeah. Heart container, that's one of the 2 items already out of the buyer. He's gotta keep searching for both that and the big key.
So now the conundrum, do you find the second item, do you go to Hera, or do you complete the dungeon thinking, gosh, this is a ped seed?
I complete the dungeon. For safety's sake, I would clear the dungeon. You want to make your as few trips back dungeons as possible, and Mire is one of those dungeons you do not want to revisit. It's a long dungeon. This does mean that lunchtime is going to have to sit through the longest cutscene room in the game.
Which is actually tied for the wall moving sequence in Pod. It never feels that way because you get to watch the wall moving.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned it is about the same length, so that is kind of an interesting thing to note. It was all for the compass, though. It's got 3 chests left, and then Vitreous. It's the one on the bridge, the one near the big chest, and then the big chest itself. Yeah, you just realized you didn't check that. Oh, there's the big key. But you still gotta find that last item. That's not it. So unless this big chest is another key, which I don't think it is. Okay, it is. So Vitreous has the last item.
So lunchtime gonna have to make his way down through several dark rooms, then face Vidi, but silver arrows will make it easy.
Yeah, if you have silver arrows, Vitreous is kind of simplistic. He's just a big glorified target shooting range. I do see this mentioned in chat. The map and the compass are both were the 2 items actually on the left side of the dungeon. So it is a normal item he has left. Actually, thinking about it, since I know someone just mentioned bombs in chest by Uncle, have we seen Uncle's 10 bomb drop that he would have sometimes at the Star Seeds?
Don't think we have.
So that's still out there. It's another dud prize that you could get. Alright, lunch at Vidi. Gotta go skewer some eyeballs. It's a shame that in Rando, it's the only way you ever get to experience Vinny with silver arrows, because he's normally one of the bosses that locks the silver arrows in vanilla. Also, someone called Bugnet on Vinny. Whoever that was, you've made things so much worse for lunchtime here. Alright, Hera's next, and if lunchtime, by skipping out on Hera, missed the ice rod within it, he'll be kicking himself.
Well, really, there's just no way to ever know. You make a calculated gamble, and sometimes it pays, and sometimes it doesn't.
I think the worst part, too, is Lunchtime, remember, also has 2 chests in Swamp he may be thinking about.
That's right. Now, we saw Stinger open those chests, and we know that the ice rod is not there.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, they could be weighing very heavily on Lunchtime's mind.
Alright, well, he's gonna have to go take a bit of a small little break here for the tiles on in the basement floor in order to get to the upper floors. Alright, he is all set to go there.
Lunchtime has set himself up for the coffee break room, as we like to say. He has infinite iframes by standing on top of these blocks that have raised him up underneath him.
And now he may go grab the big key. Which will give him access to the remainder of the dungeon. And we know the remaining items are a compass and the 2 items he needs. Alright, if you want Ped, you're hoping that the 2 items that Lunchtime finds in this dungeon do nothing. You're basically hoping he finds, like, Boomerang.
Looking at the tracker, I see empty spaces for shovel and book as well.
Yeah. Butter Sword's another dud that doesn't open up any locations. Dud item-wise, it's a good find. Alright, Moldorm, you are the deciding factor.
Will it be the ice rod? Will it be nothing?
To Ped or not to Ped? That is the question.
Could it be a shovel? Could it be a book opening some tablet?
Big 20 off to Ped. And I think Lunchtime kind of suspected this when he found the flute. He's got a blind pull for whoever's on it.
Chat reminding us that this was also an Aga required seed, so we may be looking at the mythical Ped Aga.
Yeah, we may have a double dose here. And what would be worse is if it's a fetch quest on the pedestal and not exactly what we're looking for.
I think the worst outcome could be the Paradox book.
Yeah, because then Paradox Book says you could find shovel, you could find ice rod, and then you have to go search 2 locations.
Here we go. The pendants are up.
Ice rod.
Ice rod.
And with that acquisition of ice rod off Ped, Lunchtime can go clear T-Rock and end the seed finally. Man, what a nightmare this has been.
And at 110 minutes into this seed, Lunchtime finally attained go mode.
Yeah, this has been quite the nightmare seed too. Aga required, Ped required, item in Lumberjack Cave, Mitts and Hammer locked on left side of Dark World.
Flippers and hookshot required to go fetch those lift upgrades.
Yep. Like I've seen bad seeds. This is the worst I've seen in a while. Despite that, lunch is gonna be done in around 2 hours' time. Alright, with nothing left to do in Turtle Rock, Lunchtime is just gonna go right over to Trinexx, get whatever he's got, and just kill him.
Go mode TR is still frustrating for runners a lot of the time because you still have to ride these glacially slow platforms all around the map.
Well, not to mention that Go Mode T-Rock typically entails having to still find all the keys you need. Having made a trip in here already, Lunchtime just needs to go straight to the turtle. That is the wrong pipe, though. Muscle memory and, like, routine habit tend to get the better of you sometimes in dungeons.
And that is the one where I see autopilot take over most often for most runners.
It's funny too, we're almost gonna be at the time where we did our little guessing game to start. But there's not gonna be much time to guess because of the distance between T-Rock and the tower.
Well, we still have the length of the Trinexx fight.
Yeah.
Which itself won't be that long because it's just going to be 2 shots with the elemental rods and 3 swings from a gold sword.
Yeah, as long as nothing goes wrong, those heads are as good as dead. Trinexx himself will be dead in like 2 hits as well.
Lunchtime pulling off the cane dash to get through the up and down pegs room, running past the pokey, filling up the magic, and creating the final platform to sail across the river Styx to Trinexx.
Now with Boots and the Butter Sword, sometimes you'll see a 0 cycle on Trinexx where you go right behind him and kill both heads before they really even have a chance to pop out. But it's a difficult maneuver that is really just flashy and only saves you a little bit of time. One cycling Trinexx is still very efficient.
And with Lunchtime taking down Trinexx, now would be a good time to get in your guesses for where in Ganon's tower is the big key going to be.
Yep, we got 22 locations in Ganon's tower where that big key could be. You don't have much time to guess because we're going to be at the tower within the next 30 seconds. But, just guess, and if you're correct, well, you have some self-vindication. I have no idea where I want the key to be this time. 10. I'll say 10.
I'll pick 21. Don't want to go all the way to tire room, but this seed has been just that mean to the runners.
All right, lunchtime. See how this goes.
Chests 1 and 2 going to be the Gas Hope Room, finding a small key that is going to allow Lunchtime to continue to full right side if he chooses, and he's pulling out the Cane of Samaria, so it does appear that full right is on the table.
I'm gonna have to remember that with positional block dash. That was very nicely placed.
Now, I said chest 21 thinking that full right would be the end of the sequence, but full right is on the table here in the beginning, so we're going to see chest 21 likely being somewhere behind Ice Armmost, if it gets to that.
Yeah, it will entirely depend on how the rest of this goes. But it is not on
6
right.
chests down. Lunch, I'm going to be picking up the small key to restore his small key count after using 1 to gain access to the right side before mirroring out and heading down to check Bob's torch.
Hi, Shovel. Just gonna grab it because he can. Rip Bob.
Poor Bob.
Alright, that was 7. 8 through 11 is going to be the top left Stalfos room. Bomb expansion, small key. Half magic is number 10, and 11 is another key.
And we have complete walking tank mode. Every single combat item you could want is now in Lunchtime's possession.
Yep, yellow sword, red mail, silver arrows, half magic. So that was 12 in the firebar room. 13 is coming up as in the next room, the fire snake room. There it is, number 13.
And we missed Friday the 13th by 1 day. This was certainly the seed.
This was the seed for yesterday that did not come up. But yeah, this is gonna just leave it lunchtime with climbing GT. Gauntlet has kind of just different ways everybody likes to do it, but if you have silvers or a half magic, there's a lot of different things you can do. Some people at the end of a long run will just say screw it and bombos all of the rooms away because they're just done.
It's also a wonderful way to take out all your frustrations.
Yep. Lunchtime also going to opt to get invincibility frames by falling there to go across the bridge without having to stop. And look out he goes. Using his he's using his half magic fire rod to help deal with these Stalfos. The Stalfos don't have a burning animation, so you can kind of just 1-2 punch them. Most other enemies do too, but I think the main perk with these is the fire rod can go over a lot of obstacles like spikes. And that helps a lot.
Yeah, enemies hiding behind spikes is a terrible annoyance in the gauntlet.
That was a very good gauntlet by lunchtime. Very quick and efficient gauntlet.
Skipping the anti-fairy.
Got every shot except the last one. There we go. On to the cane rooms. I think at this point the only like silly validation item we can have is the book, because the lamp was on torch. He did actually end up grabbing that book, that shovel.
So shovel leads to book.
Yeah, the book is the only item we don't know the location of the main like HUD items. Other than that, I think the only like basic upgrade we have not found is the third shield.
That's right, we have left the fire shield behind on the desert palace torch.
And red boomerang, yeah, chat also mentioned we didn't see red boomerang. Alright, so will Lunchtime open this last chest? He will for 20 rupees. Alright, Lunchtime, hoping to just finish this out now, going off to Aga 2. Aga kinda given an okay starting pattern, taking out the bug net. Trying to be swag, he's missing the shots though. There we go.
A double with the net.
Yeah, double with the net's pretty solid. Oh, this looks like we might get something. Yep. Got poked. Net dash still does not hit. Well, he hit with 2 shots there, but the second one hit while Aga was still invulnerable, so it didn't count. One more hit will finish off the wizard.
And I think after playing a seed like this one, you can't fault Lunchtime in any way for having fun with the swag net dashes. Just taking out your frustrations on the geometry wizard himself.
Yeah, we do just want to reiterate really quick, this was an all-boss seed. You had to kill every single boss. The Ice Armor, so technically the only boss we didn't kill, but we still killed every major dungeon boss. All that remains for Lunchtime now is Ganon. Oh, is that supposed to be referencing the Zelda 1 bait?
I do believe it is. Ganon complaining that, hey Link, you needed to bring the bait from Zelda 1.
Yeah, because I believe the enemy in Zelda 1 that does make that reference, or like even says that line in tradition, it's either a Garai or a Moblin. I actually don't remember which it is now.
But it does bear a striking resemblance to Ganon, and as we see the end of phase 2, phases 1 and 2, very quick for lunchtime with that gold sword.
Yeah. Okay, it is a Moblin. Thank you, chat.
3 hits on Ganon, and the final set of tiles are going to be coming down. Ganon confirming that the arrows were in the Dark World. But I can show you the arrows right here. Lunchtime, says to Ganon. Scoring a double.
And down he goes. Oh, it is a Garai. I wasn't sure which of the two enemies it was. Lunchtime also did miss Torch Glitch, but not really important in this particular instance.
And with that, Lunchtime has defeated Ganon. Let's get those GGs in chat, folks.
Lunchtime has also got done in SRTV with an official time of 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 25 seconds.